Hello, everybody. This is Joe Brown. This is another episode of The Real Game Unplugged presented by USFT Sports. This episode that we have here is presented by the Pelican Coastal Group, which is eXp Realty. If you want properties in South Carolina, certainly in the shore, give them a shout and they will work out with you. And this is just another episode talking about soccer, talking about different parts of the country, bringing all my relationships and my ecosystem of people that I know and the experiences that I have. I'm really excited because my guest today, we have been together probably since 1994 in the early days of the USL. And it was pre-MLS days when the NASL folded and we were bringing back the renaissance in soccer and actually built the foundation for what MLS is today. And my guest's name is Jim Kilmeade. He's from Long Island, Hofstra grad and player. He was a GM of the Long Island Rough Riders back in the day and had some unbelievable players. He's been a name out there in that area. He knows that marketplace and has seen it evolve over the years. We're obviously going to talk about that. And he's back into the pre-professional world as well because he is the managing partner of the American Soccer Club in New York. So we're going to talk about those things and we're just going to reminisce and we're just going to enjoy this. And welcome, Jimmy. How you doing, brother?
Good to see you, Joe. This is fun. And actually, I have to slightly correct you. We didn't meet, but we actually first came across each other when I accepted the position to start a franchise in Long Island in June of 1993.
Oh, wow.
And we were accepted into the USL. We didn't have a name. And so I literally got into a car and Francisco Marcos gave hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people opportunities. Said, I asked him, what are the better clubs that you have right now in the Northeast of the United States? He says, well, if you want to go see a club that's doing a good job, go to Delaware, go see the Wizards. So I got in the car and we drove down to the game and basically went to see a Wizards game. And we had a nice packed house, had a great high school down there. It was a good game. On the way down there with the Long Island Coffee Table book in my hand, I said, we got to come up with a name and it can't be a hokey name. It has to resonate here. And we came up with Teddy Roosevelt, the only president to live on Long Island from the city, lived in Oyster Bay. The Rough Riders were born based on his troop of Rough Riders that were really Rough Riders because they didn't have saddles and they were all ex-prisoners and very diverse. It sounds like a soccer team to me. And at that game, I spoke to somebody in your organization with the owners and they said, what's the name of the team? We're going to announce that the ownership group is here. And I said the Rough Riders. And I hadn't even got it approved by the owners then. So we kind of got off to a bumpy start. But you know what? The name is stuck and it's there 30 years later. So that's how the Rough Riders were born at a Delaware Wizards game, believe it or not.
Did we win?
You did.
Okay.
I think it was 2-1.
I remember the battles that we had.
Epic. Yeah.
During the World Cup of 94, your team was stacked. It had been an MLS team in the modern day, right?
Yeah.
And big names. And, obviously when you brought Tony Meola to our house, it filled the stadium. And we
went and lost, which was not part of the plan, but
no, I don't think Alfonso
was soccer. It was a setback for us, but quite honestly, Joe, if that didn't happen, if you didn't knock us down a little bit, we probably wouldn't have gone on the run we ultimately went on that year and became the best team in the country. But that was the only loss we had the entire season was at your place.
Oh yeah, and it was not nice when we came up there.
No,
the payback was brutal, right? And I basically right from there I flew to Orlando for a World Cup match with a little bit of pain, so I had a couple of drinks on the plane, right? But I wouldn't give those days up for anything. Right?
No.
I mean, it was when I went to in Monmouth, I went to my B school and I had 17 New York Cosmo guys out of a job in my class. Right. I mean, we were just in that peg of things on how's this game going to get recreated again.
Right. Well, you know what? The reason I'm talking to you is because the Cosmos started back in the 70s on Long Island and they rented a house to one of their first coaches, Gordon Bradley. And Gordon Bradley was a Watford, England player, manager in his mid-30s or early 30s. And he rented a house in my hometown. And there was no club. There was CYO, soccer. There was nothing. And he drove around with his sons. And he he couldn't find a game, couldn't see a soccer ball. There was baseball, there was every other sport going on. And he finally went to a school called Our Lady of Lourdes Elementary School, which was a Catholic school. And they saw a soccer game going on out there. He got out of his car and went over to the coach coaching him, who was the not the plumber, but the custodian at the school. His name was Pat McComiskey from Northern Ireland. So Gordon Bradley and Pat McComiskey got together, became friends for the rest of their life, and started the Massapequa Soccer Club. And that's how
Wow.
we all got here. 3 years later, we were at Hofstra watching the Cosmos play, and that's when you couldn't see soccer on TV in those days.
No.
And all of a sudden, we got to have heroes. We had Siggy Stritzel from the Cosmopolitan League in Queens and Brooklyn, and you had all these local first-generation Americans like Werner Roth and all these guys, and a guy from Jamaica named Randy Horton, and they became our heroes, and they were accessible.
Yeah.
Does it remind you of what we're talking about right now? And so they laid the foundation. The Massapequa Soccer Shop was born, which unfortunately last year closed down after, I guess, 50 years or whatever it might have been.
Wow.
And that was the foundational moment. And it's just guys like that a lot of people don't know about anymore. That part of what we're doing here is trying to make sure that people know who those people are. Like I like telling the story.
Yeah, because I think today, even kids, they don't watch the game. They play so much club soccer. Sometimes they don't even study their parts of the field that they play on. They don't spend time watching the game. And for sure, I could go to any soccer camp around the country. They don't know the history of our game. They don't know, they don't know the even NASL days. They don't know how the games got created on our ethnic bases, and how they got themselves organized because they brought the game over from the other countries where they came from. And then when you look at the USL, historically, people don't know that. They don't know where we came from because, we started, when the Wizards started, we were one of the first 8 teams. It was just 8 teams. That was it.
USISL, the United States
it was 8
Regional
teams.
Soccer League. Yeah.
And I'm proud of the paragraph that we wrote, without a question. We've forgotten more stuff than some executives think they know in the higher rankings, right? And I kind of watch and laugh sometimes because they have no ideas because they never had to grind it out and worry about the weather and how to travel a team. And, we had to deal with players that, quite frankly, in the ethnic leagues made more money on Sunday than they actually made sometimes with our teams, right?
Well, not sometimes. In our area, as you know, I mean, you dealt with that in the Delaware, Philadelphia area, very similar areas, density of population, diversity, every ethnicity on the planet. But the biggest challenge we had, and we had Giovanni Savarese. We bring 100 people into the room. Some are investors, some are sponsors, some are just soccer leaders or people in the community. And this year, Jimmy Rooney is, you remember Jimmy Rooney, the player? He's on our sporting committee. He's an advisor to our organization. We brought him in and had my brother Brian, who is our announcer now. He's gone on to pretty big things since those days. But he was the
Is he announcing your games right now?
Oh, no, I can't afford him. Can't afford him.
Exactly.
But I couldn't afford him even back then, but he did it anyway. But Brian interviewed him, and we did a little interview impromptu and talked about those days. And Savarese was going to LIU Brooklyn. So he had an apartment there. He had very little money. He was playing for the Brooklyn Italians, of course.
Yeah.
And he was making, a lot of money per game. And I offered him $800 a month, and I offered Jimmy Rooney $800 a month.
Right.
And that was a lot. Our top guy was $1,000 a month. And
right.
And they didn't understand that because they were making way more money to play these games. And I said, guys, you could do this forever. You have to take a flyer. You can go make the money for now, or we're going to help you launch. We think there's big things coming. Almost all of them did take a chance, but I think one or two of the guys still might have played a game on the weekend illegally that I'm unaware of to this day. But they went back, and what Savarese did, he gave up money, division.
For a couple of days.
He couldn't talk for a couple of days after that one game in '95. But Alfonso, to his credit, all of you guys as coaches, I was the general manager. This was your chance to prove that you can do something. I always like to have people working for me and working with me that have something to prove, including myself. And Alfonso wanted to prove that he could coach at the next level, whatever that was. And he did it. And but they would train 5 nights a week. It was at night. People had jobs.
Yeah.
And Savarese, and here's this guy's gone on to captained the Venezuelan national team, had a great career in MLS and Europe. And he would take 2 trains. Somebody would pick him up in Queens and drive him there. I didn't even know this was going on. I'm hearing this all these years later. And then Rooney talking about our negotiations when we sat down. He goes, "How can you only offer me $800 a week? I'm working as a plumber apprentice in Manhattan, and I have to come back." I go, "Well, you don't have to.
Yeah.
But that's all we got. So it's not a negotiation. This is $800. Either you take it or you don't." But they would make $200 a weekend playing for some of these other teams.
Oh yeah, cash.
But a couple of guys didn't get it. Most of them did, and
But the key for me was getting that 3 or 4 quality guys that bought in, and the other guys came after that, right? Because I would tell them the story, the narrative, what we wanted. We knew that the game was going to evolve, and I said you have a short window, so you got to get in a stadium. You've got to get into an environment. You can go play all the Sunday games you want, but you got to look professional. You got to fake it till you make
Joe,
it.
you had something to prove. You wanted to prove that you could do something that you hadn't done before by starting the Wizards and running the team, and you were actually coaching the team too. But you're also
head bottle washer, candlestick maker, whatever, the mailman, whatever we had to do, because there was nobody that was going to be able to coach it in my area anyway, right? And so for me, I was young enough and had really good support. I had great administrative support that let me do my thing, and they really let me kind of guide them in what you thought you knew everything back in your 30s. You didn't know anything, right? But you actually knew more than other people as well. But I had a network.
Instincts were good. That was enough because you got better at your job if you had instincts and humility and a good work ethic. And I think that's what most of us had.
Yeah.
And then we all got better and better at what we did as we learned more. There weren't a lot of people to emulate back then.
No.
If I had a mentor in this industry, it would be Todd Lewicki, which is probably, you don't get any better than that. He's one of the most successful sports executives in the world, and I'm not in his category even today. But Todd Lewicki, I tried out for the New York. Remember the Arrows in the MISL? In my senior year, I tried out for the Arrows, but they had Steve Jungle and Bronco Segota. They had the best team. They had the Islanders. The Islanders had won 4 in a row. The Arrows had won 3 in a row at the Nassau Coliseum. So I tried out. It was 100 yards from my campus, and I didn't make it. We were on the reserves, but faithfully, I got a job in the front office in community relations.
There you go.
Todd Lewicki had just come in because the Arrows, as much as they had the best team, they were nowhere drawing very well at the Coliseum.
Right.
So Todd came in from Kansas City, from the Kansas City Wizards, I think it was too.
Okay.
Comets, Kansas City Comets.
Okay.
He came in from the MISL. They were selling 17,000 seats per game at Kemper Arena, and so they brought him in to kind of rebuild the Arrows because the Arrows were good, but didn't have the fan base. So we went from the best team in the country. I got a job, work for him, to a 500 team, and took our attendance from 2,700 to 5,000.
Right.
Now, how do you do that? You did it the way we did things with the Wizards and the Rough Riders.
Oh, you got it
every night of the week. We're at a soccer club meeting. We're at a Kiwanis club meeting, a Rotary meeting, a Knights of Columbus, a B'nai B'rith. You go, and then ironically, last night I was literally on Long Island. I was at the Kiwanis club meeting down in Copeg, New York, for Suffolk County.
Yeah,
we're going to have a game at the end of the year. So it was a full circle moment for me because Todd had interviewed me as a 21-year-old, and the first question he asked is, "Are you married?" I'm like, "Married? I'm not even thinking about marriage. I can't spell marriage." He goes, I go, "Why'd you ask that?" He goes, "Because this is not a job for a married person because you're going to be out every night and you're going to be working in the community and you're going to be home late." And the second question he asked me, "Are you a good speaker? Can you speak in public?" And of course, I could not speak nobody in college can speak.
You said yes.
I said, "Of course I am." Yeah. So I got the job, and I remember my first public appearance was at the Levittown Soccer Club, and I spoke in front of this group. I was petrified. And I'm talking about soccer, which is the only reason I got through it. But I came up to the president of that league came up to me. He was a major political figure in Nassau County, which I didn't know. A guy named Kevin Regan. And he says, "You know what, son, you're going to be very, very good at this job." And he gave me 2 or 3 pointers about speak slower, do this. And I never forgot that. And I told him years later that, how he helped me. But Then you flash forward to what we're doing and with the Wizards and the Rough Riders. I think some of these principles work. I think that we can engage the community. And, we paved the ground. We paved the way. And as I said, those games were high quality on the field
Oh,
and they were high quality off the field. There were some
no,
organizations that weren't quite up to it. They
no,
usually put out a good team without an organization behind them.
right.
But there was some of them like your organization, and then you took that to Carolina and supersized it and put a great organization together there for many, many, many years. And
Yeah.
so it is interesting to be sitting here in 2026, and the World Cup is back, and we kind of
Yeah.
started that year. So it is.
And Neil McPherson was a gift for me because he knew he went to the A-League final and I think he lost to Milwaukee 1-0 and it cost him $1 million. Neil McPherson was my gift from God as being my mentor. He was the one that took me to the next place. And again, when you're in sports, it's timing, right? Everything's about timing,
Sure is.
And so I could be a little bit different in the South than I was up North, and I had to learn. I had to learn the culture. It was a complete different culture. But the experiences I had in all of those years, and again, like you said, Francisco was a guy that gave us opportunities, and we bought in, and I think we had a close group. We had unbelievable players in the league. When you talk about the indoor league, that one of the biggest attended teams was the Baltimore Blast, and
Always.
and I ran one of the Baltimore Blast training centers for a couple of the players that bought one in Baltimore, and I got to pinch some Blast players in the off season. I got to pinch some Philadelphia Kicks players in the off season, right? Because they weren't making much money, but they had to keep their game going. And so it's sort of like you got Miola, right? Because he played in Buffalo indoor, right?
Believe it or not, people don't realize he did do that after the World Cup. There was no league. I think he went to Fort Lauderdale, and then he did play an indoor season. He got paid a decent amount of money.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. In fact, there was a guy in those leagues. I think he was playing in Hershey, named Mark Pulisic.
Oh yeah.
We know the name Pulisic now.
Yes.
But that was his dad.
Yep.
And he's a Long Island guy. We're very proud of that. And but he had a very good professional career himself in the indoor leagues, as did so many of those players, because that's where the money was. If you were to make any money whatsoever.
Yeah, and that's when you learned about workers' comp real quick, because they peeled off their players that were hurt in the indoor season and tried to throw. I learned some hard lessons there, right?
I should apologize to the owners because we had a great relationship with hospital special surgery. They were the Giants doctors. Our players were treated like MLS players, but we did not know how to manage workers' comp. And then all of a sudden at the end of the year, you get a bill. Yeah. It is something that can end your business very quickly,
Yeah, no, I was fortunate because Andy Radowski was the head men's trainer for the U.S. National World Cup team for U.S. Soccer, and he did camps for me, right? So he was my guy, right? He was it's just really the biggest things that you have, not just timing, but as Neil always taught me, right? I take so much that's given to me. Is you surround yourself with good people, you will succeed without a question, and it's about loyalty. I've only had one, knock on wood, one non-loyal person in my career. So I'm very fortunate that way. Let's talk about how Long Island Soccer, since the first club that story you started with, and how crazy youth soccer is today, because Long Island always produced some of the top players in the country, right? Because they were proud to play for the island, right? You had the clubs there, but now you're having kids that are in Long Island playing in California, and they're playing a team that's 2 hours away from them, right? How do you see it's changed and evolved over the last 10 years? Because it's going really fast.
It's unrecognizable. And one of the reasons we started this club, the American Soccer Club of New York, this has been in the works for quite some time. And initially it was intended to be NYCFC, which was not here at the time 10 years ago when we started this. And we were going to look to build a stadium at which is now the UBS Arena for the New York Islanders, which is a good thing. It's not a Home Depot. It's not a data center. We're happy that Long Island didn't lose a NHL. We were looking to build a stadium there and had spoken to MLS and all that stuff about, potentially being involved. And then NYC came in with that backing of Man City, and the rest is history. But the American Soccer Club, in part, was born for the fact that that we wanted to put Long Island and the Metro New York area back on the map again, because this used to be the epicenter. Not that we had all the good players, but we had an extraordinary number based on our population, which is still dense, and it was born from the diversity of population of immigrants, of primarily European immigrants, and then Central American and South American immigrants. But just I think Queens is the most diverse county in the world, let alone the United States. So at one point in time, whether it be coming out of the Cosmopolitan League, the Mike Windishmans, captain of the U.S. national team from Brentwood, Long Island. We had Chris Armas, who played with me with the Rough Riders. We pulled him out of high school and at Delphi.
Your team was stacked.
Crazy. All local guys. There was Miola just came from Kearney, New Jersey.
Yeah,
there was no other players. They were all from here. They were college guys locally. He played for Long Island University. We just pulled him in here. But we used to put players into the national team. We put players into top divisions all over MLS. And then what's happened over the last decade? We have more good players, less great players.
Yes.
And there's more money now involved in it. I mean, I come from a family of 3 boys. My Brian and I, who's an investor with the American Soccer Club, we were on an interview with Fox 5 in New York, talking about the team. And we're talking about the money that's in it. And him and I both coached our own kids. We were professional coaches, but we were involved. And so you're a consumer, a mom or a dad or a coach in this melee, this soup that is youth sports, youth soccer, you don't really get it. You have to live it. You can't read about this. Until you experience it, it is unrecognizable. And we sat down and realized, for a family of 3 boys, lower middle class family on the South Shore of Long Island, my parents could not have afforded 3 of us. I don't think they could have afforded 1, but they would have had to choose 1. Maybe I was the oldest and they would have stayed with me. But the point is that it was never perfect, but there was a pathway that was direct. You played on a good club team.
Yep.
Your high school mattered. You played on. And then you got onto the Long Island Select program and maybe the ODP team. Yep. And that's where you were involved in Bob Montgomery's of the world and the Tommy Lang and the Bruce Arenas and all these guys. I mean, and so that's how you got there. And then you got into a college, and some of us, New Jersey had the Vermeeses and all these guys coming out of, and Harks and Ramos, and we had our guys.
Region 1 was stacked.
It was unbelievable. It's not stacked right now. There's still a lot of very, very good players, but they're not getting through or they're not being identified. So our goal is that we can't fix what's going on right now. We're trying to build a youth academy fully funded, and we'll talk about that today too, because we finally have a partner in Bola Markets that stepped up to help us seed this movement.
Yeah.
But the goal is this. We want to identify, develop the next Joe Scally. Right now, Long Island has 1 player actually 2 players. Crystal Dunn from Rockville Center, Southside High School, on the U.S. national team, but she's in her mid-30s. She's an incredible athlete. And you have Joe Scally, who's playing in the Bundesliga, starting at outside back played the most games of any American in the Bundesliga, 150-some games. We're hoping he's going to be named to the national team next week, but he's got 20-some caps.
It's today. Today at 3:00.
Oh, it's today at 3. That's right. Huge day. So basically, we're hoping Joe's on that team. But it used to be 4 or 5 guys from here, 4 or 5 girls from here. So with all of this development and all of this money, and it's not all bad. I like that people are making a living in soccer. It's a good thing. But because you and I have known, it wasn't very easy to make a living in this game. In fact, it was almost impossible.
No, not at
all.
all.
I like that it's gotten that. But the bad side of it is that that's all it's about. So we believe players are being missed. They're being missed everywhere. They're being missed where you are sitting right now. They're being missed in Oakland, California. They're being missed in San Diego. They're being missed on Long Island. So we've now started an academy that will fully fund. It's not going to be 300 kids out of it. It's going to probably be 50, 60 kids.
Yeah.
We're going to start it and we're going to launch it. But our goal is to find the next Joe Scally and launch him into Europe. And that's the business we're getting into. So 95% of those kids we're going to help get into a good college or wherever. Not everybody's going to be a pro, but maybe 1 or 2 of the first 60 are capable of making that run, like Joe Scally. The real academy is the academy that you qualify for, you don't pay for.
Yes.
Joe made that. But here's what happened, Joe. The NYCFC Academy has a base in Queens and St. John's, but it's really their base is in Westchester County. if you live in the tri-state New York area, for me to get to New Jersey, it could say 47 miles. It could take me 2.5, 3 hours.
Oh, yeah.
If I go to Westchester, it could be an hour and 45 minutes to go 50 miles. So it is very difficult to navigate here. And but Joe Scally, yeah, he made the free academy, but his parents know how to get him from Central Suffolk County to Queens and Westchester 5 days a week. Now, most kids, he had a great family, still does. Aunts and uncles, they all took off. They got him there. They made sure that that kid got there, and he had the mental toughness, the physical ability to withdraw, then go to Germany and be alone.
Oh, yeah.
And have the mental capacity to do that. He's in rarefied air, Joe Scally. He's got the whole package. But his parents, if he didn't have that kind of a family with support and aunts and uncles, he wouldn't have been able to take advantage. So we're now the only fully funded youth academy on Long Island. We haven't even had our first talent festival yet, or whatever we're going to call it. It's not going to be tryouts. It'll be a supplemental program, and the goal is to find the next Joe Scally, and then down the road, when we open a women's division, the next Crystal Dunn, Sarah Whalen Hess. There's so many great players that come out of this area.
And again, that's where you have to go. And when, I did research to relaunch USFT Sports for 3 years, and Neil's philosophy is getting a team of experts around all the things that we have. We have a FIFA agency, right? We have an NCAA master that works with the NCAA that can educate their pathways going to college. We have situations with funneling kids into any university at any different level, but we also can go ahead and get the pre-professional guys that are kind of stuck in a purgatory state.
Right.
It's okay to go overseas and play third division and try to move up or fourth, right? If you still have that passion, right? You have that passion. But the thing is, for us, it's parent education, because a kid will spend $130,000, $150,000 in club soccer by the time they become a end of their sophomore year. So there is no return on investment, because you couldn't, like you said, your family couldn't afford that.
No way.
Right? And everything's clinical. It's they play too many games. There's too many trophies out there that don't mean anything. When you had the McGuire Cup, that was the dog. You know what I mean? You had certain points you wanted to get to, but it's just again, capitalism I have no problem with. What I look for from the club system is I'm trying to figure out what's the return on investment for these kids, because all the parents were stressed out the last month because it's tryout time. So they're selling clubs, right? But they don't have the external. We're an external sports firm that can help them with corporate partners, can help them figure out how to make money instead of just raising the prices for the kids. We're not training enough. We're playing too many games, right? Because when we played one game a week. Maybe on a Wednesday you get it, right? Your busy schedule is your high school schedule, right? But in your club system,
we also played on our own. I would take my bicycle and drive in Massapequa. I get on my bike. I had one ball, and if you lost it, you're in deep trouble, because you're not going to get a new one. And I put it on my little rack, and my big concern was, like, if that falls off, I don't want you getting it on a busy road. Just let it go. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to let it go, because I know I'm not going to get another one. And I would drive 3 miles to Burns Park, which is still there in Massapequa, and guys from 13 to 18 years old would show up, and we'd play a pickup game 2 or 3 nights a week in the summer.
And that's the best training.
That's where you learned how to play.
Yes, that's it.
It was brutal. You played with older players that kicked your ass, and you learned how to play, but you also decided that you kind of loved it.
Yes.
If you didn't want to be down there. No. That doesn't happen anymore. That's nobody's fault. That's our society now. We didn't have phones. We had nothing to do.
And getting the admiration, and we played in the sandlots and in the parks from the older guys and your buddy's older brothers.
Yeah.
That was my motivation, right?
Oh.
Referees, parents, coaches. If you take, 9 kids against 9 kids, or 11 against 11, they meet at a park, they're going to have a blast, right? The pecking order would create itself naturally, right? Someone has to go to dinner.
Right now, it's not even their fault. They can't do it. They're training X amount of days a week. MLS is dominant. And by the way, I'm a huge fan of Don Garber. He's a great
Yep.
person. He's a brilliant man. What he's done is historic. His legacy is untouched. I'm a big fan. I don't agree with everything MLS does. I don't agree with everything everybody does. But
No.
for greater good, they've built, look at the stadiums, the infrastructure. It's great. And the youth academies they've actually invested in is great. But they've gotten now into the business of youth's paid for play soccer. And it's making a ton of money. NYCFC Academy they have their supplemental non-pay for play their pay for play academy, but now MLS has got MLS Next Pro, which is a D3 league, which is fine. Next Pro 1, Next Pro 2, which is nothing but a moneymaker, and I call it the MLS.
Listen, that's all bullshit. Because at the end of the day,
total moneymaker. It's had nothing to do with development. And it's got every kid turned upside down to leave their club to go play for them.
Right. The mission statement of the professional club, I would rather, instead of the money, invest in scouts to go out to your clubs in the area to try to pick them out. Because all you're doing is scraping money from facilitating coaches. They're not high-end coaches, right? Anybody who plays in an MLS academy should not spend a dime.
Right.
MLS Next or whatever it is.
You know that they will now. It's going on here right now in Long Island, Metro New York. They've formed something called Island FC, but Island FC is based on youth academies, pay for play, big money. I mean, this is big money. This is big money. You're going to California. You're going here, and most parents will. If you have it, you'll do anything for your kid. I don't care if it's gymnastics, swimming. If you have your last dollar will go to your kid. Most of us are stupid that way.
We go bankrupt for our kids, no problem.
And it's happening, and that's why we're sitting outside of this. Our goal is to do a supplementary academy that will become full time. We'll raise this American Soccer Club up from the MPSL, which is Division the Tier 4, which is the same as USL 2. We'll raise it up to a professional team, similar to what we did years ago. When we have the facilities that we control, we have really two business units. One is a real estate business unit, which you understand personally, and then we have the sporting company. And as we're looking at that every day,
I built 2 stadiums and I learned.
While you're a renter, you can only do so much, and so therefore, we're setting up and building the brand to a brand that works hard, puts on a good product of local players, is active in the community. And is just a great ambassadors for the game everywhere we go in our area. But what I found out, the difference between then and now, there's always a difference, and it's always people look back nostalgic. It is such a cluster now. To break through, it's almost impossible to really break through because these kids and these families are so conditioned to, I call the MLS laser pointer, which is, your cat will follow around, right? Yeah. They've now put it over here. If you can't be on that, you'll not stay with your local community club. It's seen as is subpar.
Right.
Yet there are some great community clubs all over in this country, especially around here in Northport, where I live now. The Northport Cal Harbor United Soccer Club is a storied club with great players.
Harbor, absolutely.
Including Sarah Whalen came out of this club.
Yeah.
Remember Travis Rinker?
Oh yeah.
Travis Rinker played for Cold Spring Harbor, right? But there's a history here. But now they look down their nose at the Massapequa soccer clubs of the world, of the Northports of the world, of the other, and there's a club here called Sousa Academy, which I have a field building business, and we built all their fields with A-turf, and it's a stunning. They've raised the game. I give the Sousa people, Glenn Schneider, and the ownership of that, what they have done by putting a 5-field complex raises the game on every level here.
Yep.
So to me, that's a pay-for-play academy, but they have actually professional, high-level facilities, so you are getting a different experience. That's something. That's a point of difference. It still costs a lot of money. They're just on rented fields, and it's $12,000 to $20,000 a year.
Yeah.
To go all over the place, like you said before, you don't need to go anywhere to get high-level competition in an area, but they're flying all over the country to get this competition, and then sometimes they're playing teams that are from our area that they could have driven an hour for or 45 minutes.
Yeah, you
take San Diego,
Philly region, New Jersey, New York, and Maryland, and throw in Virginia and Connecticut.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you got to stop, right? and the parents, the parents need to get their life back.
Right.
They need to get their social life. They're done. Right.
This started even before MLS. So I'm not blaming MLS. They've just supersized it and organized it better.
Right.
With the Northeast Regional Premier League, the NERP, whatever. I remember trying to get my brothers and our kids together as we started having kids to always do Sundays with my mom.
Right.
And we're always on the soccer field. Your wife goes here, you go there, you're coaching, and you just make it work, and you come home at one point and hopefully have dinner together. But there was a time when that league was formed, and the Long Island teams are all going to New Jersey, these girls' teams. Now, the best teams are already here. So if you go to New Jersey from Long Island, that's a day.
Yeah.
You get 2 games. You're gone for 8 hours, 9.
Yeah.
You get dealing with horrendous traffic, $60 in tolls. You get back. We couldn't even get our families together. So I asked my brother Brian and his wife Dawn, what league are you playing in that you have to go to New Jersey every other weekend? He goes, and he was like so angry about it. Now the club signed up with this league, and we're having to play all these games. And I go, Brian, by the time you get from Massapequa to wherever you are in New Jersey, you've passed some of the 5 best girls soccer teams in the country are here. Crystal Dunn, they were driving past Rockville Center, driving past Albertson. Remember how good Albertson was?
Oh, Albertson was,
Why would you have to go to New Jersey or any other? But this, so as I said, this started a long time ago.
Right.
And it's a big money maker. And as I said, I'm a double-edged sword because like you, I love capitalism. You should do this, but we're really making it all off the back of these kids now.
So we're going to close on a couple things, right? One, that when you said you were going to work on the club you're at now, and the name you wanted to pick was what? And you didn't get it.
We were trying to put together a capital group to be the next MLS team here before NYFC came in a decade ago.
But that's the name you wanted, right?
No, we don't even know. I think it was going to be an American Soccer Club was our.
So I always close with the World Cup starting. We're excited again, right? Some people, they didn't experience 94. So what does it look like if the team shits the bed for America in soccer? And corporate America is going to be upset, obviously. And what does it look like if we do well? Because I think we should get out of our group. I think that should be our only standard now. But what does it look like at the water cooler on Tuesday when everything's wrapped up? What's our emotion on either one of those segments for you? Because I'm not bought in on the team right now.
I'm not either. And then this last 2 games with Belgium and Portugal were eye-opening. We're going to look back at this as like, thank God we had those 2 games, or, well, those 2 games are really who we are.
Yeah.
I'm going to go positive. It's easy to go negative.
Okay.
I'm going to stay on it. We showed who we were not, but we did show some quality. We clearly don't have 90 minutes of it with that group at the moment. I believe success for the U.S. is the quarterfinals. The world's got to get excited. The country's got to get excited about this. And then Americans, we like winners. Unless you're making a run.
And the nice thing about it is when you get out of your group, the whole thing empties out, and that next game's amazing, right? And people are going to plan their days around it. People aren't going to go to work. Whatever. It's got to be part of our culture. I'm not convinced on our goalkeeping because we used to have stud goalkeepers.
That was always our one thing that we could match up with anybody in the world.
Yeah, period.
Right now it's a question mark.
It's huge. So it'll be interesting. The next time we get on, because I want to talk again, because I think it's important that people understand, when you build facilities, it makes a big difference, and the cost eventually crosses over. Do you know what I mean? And so I want to talk to you more about that. USFTsports.org. Go to our website. Go to the bottom. Like our Facebook. We just want to educate people in all aspects of the things that we do. Thank you so much. We could do this for probably 4 straight hours.
Got to plug ASCNewYork.com. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. We're at Newport, AC Newport tomorrow, up in Newport, Rhode Island, with another game, home and home. So hopefully we'll go to 2-1 tomorrow.
Cool. Hey, listen, good luck, my brother. I'll talk to you soon. All right.
Thanks again.
Cheers. Bye.